Alright guys, this is it. The Batman. Let's go. I'm vengeance! Wait, wrong voice. You really think I'm gonna wear this for the whole review? Oh fuck no. Let's get into it. So, The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, and Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, directed by Matt Reeves. Here we are. Let's get into it. Wait a minute. Holy shit. Oh, I gotta take this off. Guys, they gave us this cool comic from last night's fan first premiere, which was phenomenal as well. The atmosphere, even though the theater was a lot, like, really hot. But guys, let's dive into The Batman. And I'll give you my overall thing, or my first opinion. Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, I will be breaking this video up into basically a section that will be spoiler filled. So when I tell you guys there's spoilers, there will be spoilers. If you want to click off of it, then you can. But let's talk about The Batman first. We knew that it's been through hell for production wise. We knew that Ben Affleck was supposed to star and direct and produce this film, and then shit fell through and Matt Reeves got a hold of it now, and Robert Pattinson's our new Batman. So guys, let's get into one of the my most anticipated film of 2022. Let's start off with one of the biggest things that I think we should talk about, and we'll get into characters as well, but this film is 2 hours and 56 minutes, and it doesn't, for me, feel like 2 hours and 56 minutes. To be honest, it felt like 2 hours for me. But I will say that some people will have a problem with this film by it being a slower film. And now that would be my only nitpick, and we'll get that nitpick out of the way right now, is it does take a little much time, but I still like that. And it really does get you immersed into these characters, this world, new world of the Batman that we're getting. And I think it's a positive, but a lot of people might think it is a crutch for the most part. But for me, no. I loved it. Trust me, I loved it. But let's talk about character-wise. Jeffrey Wright is our new Commissioner Gordon, and I think he really was a perfect casting. There were a tiny couple bit of moments that he's a little bit hammy, especially you guys seen in the trailer where Batman punches him, how he's like kind of whispering to get Batman to escape the GCPD building. But overall, I really loved his character, how he was portrayed in this film. He's a Gordon that is desperate. He knows most of GCPD is corrupt. And what I liked about it is that he's already been working with Batman on these cases, especially now diving into these murder mystery cases with the Riddler. A lot of the cops are all okay with it, but a lot of cops are like, why do you have this freak near us? Like, why are you, Gordon, why are you having him in the crime scenes and that and bringing him across? That's something I really liked. We know this is a year 2 Batman story, so we know he's been Batman for about 2 years. So that's something that was cool to see and dive into. And I really thought Jeffrey Wright's performance as Commissioner Gordon was really great, and I want to see more of it, and I think we will get a lot more down the road. Now let's talk about Colin Farrell and Andy Serkis. I put these two together because they're really not in the film that much, but let's start off with Colin Farrell. Him playing the Penguin, can't even fucking recognize him. From the trailers I couldn't recognize him, but him playing Oz Cobblepot, you can hear his voice mannerisms and you're like, okay, that sounds like Colin Farrell, but I would have never guessed. If you would have told me that's Colin Farrell and he wasn't casted, I would have been like, yeah, bullshit. But he was really great in the film as well. He's funny. He's got some of those quippy moments that I thought were really cool, but he also is not the Penguin that we know yet. He's rising to the empire in this film, and I really dug his interpretation. Andy Serkis is playing Alfred in this film, and he's in the film, I would say, less than Colin Farrell, but I really like the scenery that he got. I want to see a lot more of this Alfred, though. I really do. He seems like that British type special forces Alfred, and I want to see a lot more of him and Bruce's dynamic between them two. I think that'd be a lot more humanity to the film. But overall, what scenes that we got Andy Serkis is playing Alfred in, I dug. And I liked him a lot. Paul Dano as the Riddler. We're getting there, guys. Paul Dano as the Riddler is the Zodiac Killer. He is fucking phenomenal. It's like you're taking Paul Dano's performance from There Will Be Blood and Prisoners, and you put them together and mash them together, and this is the performance you get. Paul Dano knocks it out of the park as Riddler. He's funny at times, he's psycho at times, which he should be, but he is a great interpretation for the Riddler. I really loved the direction they took the Riddler in this film. He's not like the Jim Carrey Riddler, even though I have a little soft spot for him in Batman Forever. Don't kill me, fuck no. But overall, I really dug his interpretation, and I really liked all the riddles that he gave to Batman and had Batman solve. I really liked all of his plans. He's not just a smart villain, but he's a smart character, and that's one of the things that sometimes villains lack these days in superhero films. So let's just say Paul Dano as the Riddler, he fucking killed it for me. Now let's get into Zoe Kravitz. Now, I wasn't really worried about Zoe Kravitz. I was happy that she got casted as Selina Kyle. She is really a believable Selina Kyle by being casted, but I think she is one of the biggest standouts in the film. I loved her interpretation. Do I think it's definitely better than, do I think it was better than Anne Hathaway's performance? Yes. I don't know if I would put it on par with Michelle Pfeiffer's. I would like to see a little bit more of Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, but I really dug her Catwoman as being this grounded, realistic girl, Selina Kyle, and just trying to make it around. And her plot, her story, her reason of being in this film is, it makes sense. It's not just let's shoehorn Catwoman in there just for the sake of her being Catwoman. I liked her dynamic involving John Turturro's Carmine Falcone as well. He did a great job too as being one of the less supporting cast members. He really did play Carmine Falcone brilliantly, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, I thought she was a great casting, and her character in this film is believable. Her dynamic between Batman is awesome, and it's believable. Their chemistry together, Robert Pattinson's chemistry with Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, it works, and it's like fire, and that's what I want to see more of down the line. Do I want to see her necessarily in the next sequel? No, but she's got to return at some time, and I want to see them do together more. I thought they were badass when they shared the screen together. It was awesome. It really was. Before we talk about the big Robert Pattinson, is the city of Gotham is a character in this film as well. One of the things I really want to talk about is in the Dark Knight trilogy or in the Snyderverse, you don't really feel like, even though it is Gotham City, it doesn't really feel like the true Gotham City in the comics. Now, if you take the Dark Knight trilogy for an example, it really just does feel like Chicago. We know it's supposed to be Gotham City, but it feels like Chicago. If you take the Gotham City from Joker, it feels like New York City, right? And then if you take the Gotham City from the Snyderverse, it feels like Detroit. This interpretation of Gotham City is a character itself. It is phenomenal. It really feels like city is grimy, dirty, shitty. Why the fuck would anybody live here? Why is Batman even trying at this point? It's something that really spoke out as a character. That's why I put it in the character section too. It really felt gripping, and the amount of visuals that were shot and really took its time to immerse you into this Gotham, they did a phenomenal job with that. And I have to say that this is definitely the best live action Gotham City that we've ever gotten. And that's the truth. It really is. Before we get into Robert Pattinson's performance, don't worry, we'll get there. I also want to talk about the fight sequences and the action sequences. They were on par in this film. They really looked incredible. The choreography throughout the film with Batman and with Riddler and with Catwoman, they really worked. I really liked all the choreography. I loved all the fight sequences, the action sequences, a lot of them. We'll talk a little bit more about the fight sequences and action sequences in spoiler filled, but overall, they did a great job. The cinematography and visuals are beautiful to look at. This film felt a lot like Dune. The visuals, the scale, it's such an immersive film, and fuck guys, it's awesome. From the rain being poured down in the subway trains, and the just riding by Gotham Square in Gotham City Square, holy fuck guys, just riding around in the world, wow. This is a phenomenal looking film, to say the least. I can't wait to watch it on 4K. Also, let's talk about the score by Michael Giacchino. I probably pronounced that, butchered it wrong. The guy that made the Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland's score. I knew this score was great. I listened to it a week before even watching the film, and I love the Batman theme. Do I think it's better than the Hans Zimmer theme? No, I don't. But I really think it's a great score that fits with the film, and I really love it. I dug it. It's menacing. It's what Batman should be. I love the score to death. It's definitely better than the Danny Elfman theme, in my opinion, but Hans Zimmer, there's still a soft spot for me, but the score of the Batman, it's great. It's great. Honestly, before we get into Rob, I do want to talk about the Batmobile in this film. I have it right down there. What a fucking the sequence with the Batmobile, when it powers up, it starts up and Batman starts revving the engine. Holy fucking smokes. You're in for a ride. And it's awesome in this film. I have to say that. It was great. It really was. It's a muscle car, but it's something that hasn't been done. Honestly, my favorite Batmobile is the Tumbler, but I would take this as my second round pick, and it was awesome. It's just awesome to look at too. And when it powers up with that big fucking turbine, or that big turbo, whatever you call it, jet engine in the back of it, holy fuck, awesome. The biggest, you guys seen the trailer with the Penguin, the chase sequence with the Batmobile, it was awesome. And really, it's amped up to 11 with watching it in the film. It really is. Let's talk about the man of the hour, Robert Pattinson, playing Batman / Bruce Wayne. Rob's Bruce Wayne. Let's talk about Bruce Wayne first. You don't get a lot of Bruce Wayne in this film. It's 95% Batman, I would say. But overall, you get a lot of Batman. And the Bruce Wayne that we do get, he's a very dark, he's a like emo type Bruce Wayne that is like, he doesn't know how to balance out Batman. He's addicted to being Batman, and he's carrying that persona and being a recluse in spotlight. And that's what you can tell with the hair, with his actions. One of the things that Rob does as a phenomenal actor is that he acts through his expressions more than him talking dialogue. And one of the things I liked is, especially in the funeral sequence that we saw, they released a clip, you could just tell his mannerism or his expression when he sees the Riddler up in like the upper stair section of the church or wherever the fuck it was. You can just tell how frightened and concerned he looked, and that's something I really dug. I will say that I do personally like Christian Bale's performance and Ben Affleck's performance as Bruce Wayne better so far. I mean, we have a lot to see with this Bruce Wayne, definitely, as what we got, because we didn't get a lot of Bruce Wayne really in the film. He's really quiet too. It's a quiet Bruce Wayne, antisocial to say the least. So he doesn't know really how to balance out the billionaire fake playboy vibe that Bruce Wayne does give out eventually. He's still in year 2. They made that clear. So there's that. But overall, I thought Rob did a great job as Bruce Wayne. I really did. I'm not going to lie. But where he really shines, guys, is Batman. And I will say that Batman is handled fucking incredibly in this film. This film overall is a dark, gritty film and brooding type film. Like I said, Rob's Bruce Wayne is broody, but fucking the Batman is broody even fucking more. I will say that this film is not going to work for a lot of people, especially the younger audience, because of how dark and scary and gritty at times. It's a horror film, in my opinion, and a mystery. It's Seven, basically, with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. But the Batman in this film, let's talk about the detective aspect. He is the world's greatest detective in this film. He is smart. He's what Batman is. He is smart. He's fast. He's everything you want your Batman to be. He feels like a comic book Batman. Now, where Ben Affleck's Batman felt more fantastical comic book-ish, this feels like a grounded Batman comic book style. Obviously, I would just say that Christian Bale's Batman felt a lot more grounded in reality, but this one feels more grounded in comic. And it's so, the way they did this Batman justice, it's incredible, guys. It really felt like the comic book, but grounded, grittied, dirty, and everything you would want. This Batman is angry. He's mad, but he's smart. He's the world's greatest detective. How many times do I gotta say it? This film really shows how smart this Batman is when he does all these detectives, solves all these riddles. He's smart. There's nothing else to say. what I liked, because a lot of even the Dark Knight trilogy is guilty of this, really lacked the detective aspect storyline of the Batman, and that's what Batman is known for, world's greatest detective. That's the truth. But overall, he's a brawler, he's a badass, he fights, he kicks ass. He's not that built, he's not that big bruising brawler, hulking type Batman, but he's fast. And oh boy, is he angry, I will say that. Guys, this film, I'm gonna say before we get into spoilers, is better than Batman Begins. This is definitely my favorite interpretation of Batman yet. Like I said, I still think Christian Bale is the better Bruce Wayne, or Ben Affleck's even a little bit better, but that's because we got more of the Bruce Wayne that we know, the billionaire, playboy, philanthropist kind. But as for Batman, this is the Batman I've always wanted to see. This is the Batman film I've always wanted to see. Very immersive, very dark, gritty, broody. I'm going to keep using that word when we get into spoilers, but it's something I really wanted to see. And with the supporting cast of Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Farrell, Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, it was such a great, it really was, and I'm glad to say that the Batman is fantastic. Guys, I give The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, who did a phenomenal job, a 10 out of 10. It really is, guys. It's a masterpiece in my level. I will even go farther to say it is an 11 out of 10. That's my true opinion. I don't care what you guys say. But guys, let's get into some of the spoilers that I really want to talk about in this film. Let's go. So let's talk about the major plot points in the spoilers section of The Batman. I really dug the Wayne's plotline perspective. It got twisted throughout the film with the Riddler trying to show that the Waynes were corrupt, but then we come to find out that Bruce Wayne really was never corrupt in the end, but he was, and then Carmine Falcone had a meeting with Bruce Wayne, and what happened was Carmine tried to make it seem like the Maronis killed Wayne's parents. However, it really was Carmine Falcone. I like the twist to see that Carmine Falcone was also Selena Kyle's father. I really liked it, and she wanted to kill him throughout the whole film because he ended up killing Selena's friend that she was babysitting, a stray, so to speak. There were a lot of what the fuck moments in this film, and I'm going to go through a lot of them. One of the scenes where with the Riddler, where he is plotting to kill Bruce Wayne, and he sends a letter to the Wayne Tower, which we'll dive into one thing in a sec, and Alfred gets it and gets exploded by. I really literally thought at that moment, holy fuck, they killed Alfred. They did. But no, he's recovers in that, and then that's when we get that sequence from in the trailer, you lied to me, Alfred, about my parents and that they weren't corrupt in that. I really dug that a lot, and that was a great emotional scene. All these actors they really give their all, and it's an emotional they're both together emotional performances. That's why I really want to see a lot more Robert Pattinson and Andy Serkis. They play really good off of each other. They really do. It was a touching moment in the film, for me at least too. I felt like, wow, this film's got heart to it too. But Paul Dano's Riddler, fucking a psychopath. He's fucking hilarious. There were times where he just starts crying and laughing, and it's just, holy fuck, the Riddler is a psychopath, and they're nailing it, what I want to see. I really thought that he was the Zodiac Killer throughout this whole film, and this film gave all the Seven vibes that you could think of. But one of the things I obviously was going to talk about was hospital sequence. It's very intense. It feels close to the interrogation scene to The Dark Knight. Maybe not as great as the Dark Knight one or as iconic, but it really felt where he's like smashing on the glass saying, "What have you done?" The first time I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, that didn't really seem like, but the build up in the film, it's incredible. And then the Riddler's goal to flood the whole city, blow up all 8 of these vans and flood Gotham City. Wow, it's awesome. It makes sense. It's awesome. You understand the Riddler's motives throughout this whole film, and that's what I loved. He really wants to push out the corrupt, and it works. It's almost like Paul Dano said in an interview, you wouldn't have the Riddler if you didn't have Batman. The Riddler wouldn't be a thing. And it's true. The Riddler is trying to be a good guy, but he's going around it in a horrible, sadistic type way. And there's some traps in these films that he puts around some of his victims before he kills them. He live streams too, and they're funny, but they also give me Saw type vibes, and I'm like, wow, I was not expecting this in a Batman film. That's why I say this film has a lot of horror aspects to it. But we know, like, towards the end of the film, we see that Batman saves the mayor, giving the heroic vibe that gives the film a lot more rich to it, where the film kind of ends in a lighter tone, I guess you'd say, where he becomes the hero that Gotham deserves. And I love a lot of that too. But let's talk about the gadgets and the environment. Let's get into it. So let's talk about the environment. So Wayne Tower is basically where Bruce stays. He stays up in the penthouse with Alfred and some maids, and it's a very dark, broody type penthouse, I'm not gonna lie. And he goes from Wayne Tower down into a subway, abandoned subway tunnel that is the Batcave. Oh guys, it was awesome. I have the Lego set right here, and I love the subway tunnel. It's cool. You see how he's working on the Batmobile, and you see a lot of his gadgets and gear. I'm a sucker for that, guys. I really am. And but it's a different interpretation where he stays up at Wayne Tower and he's got access to the Batcave, I guess you would say, the Bat subway tunnel right down there, and I thought that was cool. I really dug that. Overall, though, I also loved his suit in this film. I thought I was gonna hate his cowl. No, I really like his cowl a lot, but his suit, it's very believable, it's flexible, it's more agile, he can move around in it, it's definitely tactical. It's what I like to see in a Batman film as well. Even though I love the Ben Affleck Batman suit, it is definitely still my favorite. I liked the gadgets they used too. I like how his grapple gun shoots out of his hand. I liked how he's basically his batarang is a knife. I thought it was a missed opportunity that he could have said that my symbol is made out of the gun that killed my parents. I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, but it is what it is. But I also thought that the detective work that he uses in this film, he uses those lenses that capture everything he sees, and he rewinds it at the Bat computer in the Batcave. I like that aspect, to solve the riddles, to solve where the Riddler is going to strike next, what he's going to be planning next. I like that aspect, and it's something different that we didn't see from Batman being a detective, the world's greatest detective, like I keep saying. But overall, this Batman is broody as fuck. He is angry. Bruce Wayne is addicted to playing or being Batman in this film, and that's what I love. I'm gonna say this, is Robert Pattinson, a talented, great actor. I'm glad they didn't go with a big name like Ben Affleck, so to speak, because if you go with a bigger name, you need to show a lot more Bruce Wayne. And they do the same thing with Pedro Pascal as playing the Mandalorian, where he can hide behind the helmet for the most part. And what I liked about it is that Pedro Pascal is a great actor. He's not a well-known actor yet, and that gives the character a little bit more to be the cool character that we like. And that's what Rob does as Batman. We see a little bit of Bruce Wayne in the film, but we also see more of Batman. When Batman is Batman, it doesn't feel like Robert Pattinson playing Batman. It feels like the Batman, and that's hard to explain. You guys got to go watch and see it. Like I said, the detective work in this film, him solving all these riddles, putting all the pieces together with the puzzles and the mazes, great. It really was. It felt like this is the Batman I've been waiting to see. There's a kid in the film as well, and the kid is kind of centric around the theme of Bruce losing his parents. He knows that this kid is an orphan. Now, we also know that Riddler is an orphan throughout the film, and he sets up why he hates the Waynes. And we see a couple Easter eggs. I see something with the last name Elliot in the film. Is that Thomas Elliot? Are we seeing something with Hush possibly down the line? That'd be cool. But this kid who's an orphan throughout the film, Bruce really likes to protect him, especially at the funeral sequence. He saves him, we saw in the trailer, but at the end too, he basically grabs his arm as he's suited up as Batman and rescues him out of big flooded area where Gotham Square Garden is. And I thought that was really touching and really shows the heroic vibe of the Batman. With this 2-hour and 56-minute movie, I felt like this movie was only 2 hours. I wanted more. At the end of the film, I really wanted more of it. I didn't want it to end. And that's how you know that Matt did a great job with this film, directing it with writing. I gotta say though that Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson's chemistry is like fire. They work really well together. I love them two playing off of each other's scenery in this film. It really was great. And their teamwork when they were fighting together, I love that. And that ending when they parted ways like this, it's touching and it's cool, but I know it's not going to be the end of seeing them two together. They will be back. I don't know if in the next sequel or maybe in the third film, but I know they'll be back eventually, and I can't wait to see that happen. But possibly it's giving this Batman some room to introduce a new sidekick, possibly Robin, possibly Nightwing, Batgirl, we'll have to see, right guys? But guys, one of the biggest things obviously I'm going to talk about in spoilers is the Arkham Hospital scene with the Riddler, the guy that starts laughing. Now that actor is played by Barry Keoghan, who played in Dunkirk with directed by Christopher Nolan as well, and I'm 90% sure that that's the Joker they're teasing. I don't want to see the Joker personally in the sequel. I'd rather see him maybe in the third film, a lot of build-up. Maybe we see him behind the scenes a lot more. But fuck, guys, like, so cool. The laugh too is so different and something that we haven't seen. Barry Keoghan, I'm not really that familiar with him, but I would love to give him a chance as playing the Joker. But we don't know 100% if it is the Joker, but I'm 90% sure, guys, it is the Joker. But guys, overall, my biggest question is, what are you going to do with Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne? Now, we know how the film ends. It seems like Batman, like I said, is starting to become the hero that we all know and love. But now, let's dive a little bit more of the Bruce Wayne aspect, a tiny bit more, and let's get him into the spotlight more. Let's make him be the Bruce Wayne that we know, the fake, the billionaire, the playboy. We didn't see a lot of that, like I said, in the film. He really was a broody type Bruce Wayne, who was definitely antisocial and emo, so to speak. Let's see in the sequels and the future installments a lot of character development between his Bruce Wayne. Let's see him get a little bit more hopeful. Let's definitely see, I want to see, is the three personas. We know what the three personas are. The fake, billionaire playboy type Bruce Wayne. The real Bruce Wayne, and the Batman. What I said that in the beginning of the video is, it really did feel like Batman for everything. Even when he was Bruce Wayne, it felt like Batman. And some people may think that's a crutch or that's a problem. For me, I still think that's a strength, because then it grows character. It really does. But I'm excited to see where they bring this world and this story forward in a future installment. I really am. What they did incredible with this film was, they didn't set this film up as sequel bait. They set it up as one standalone film, and that's what I love. A couple of the action sequences I love is in the tunnel, or there's an elevator sequence all blacked out right before Carmine Falcone gets shot by the Riddler, and it's the gunfire sequences. It looked, lighting up the scenery and Batman knocking them all out, it looked beautiful, and I loved it to death. I'm not gonna lie. The scene where Batman basically goes berserk mode, where he's fighting his Riddler informants up in the rafters, and the one shotguns himself in the heart, and he gets knocked out by it, and then injects himself with some steroid or something, and he screams and goes knocks the fuck out of this guy. Holy fuck, that was incredible to watch, and it was scary, and oh my god, it was awesome. I'm getting dry mouth talking about this film, and I can talk about this film for days. I will say also that I don't necessarily want to see a trilogy from Robert Pattinson's Batman and Matt Reeves' Batman. I want to see more. I'd rather see 4 or 5 installments. Why not? Like, he's a young actor. Let's see him really grow into this character, and that's what I really want to see in this film. And I hope we do. I really do. I want to see a different villain each film, but it does look like the Riddler and Joker are going to team up at some point throughout the universe or this new world. But Rob is so good at his craft, and that's why I know that if you give him more film or more scenes as Bruce Wayne, you're gonna love him. And that's why I can't wait to see where they take this world. I really can't. But overall, guys, you read the title. It is true. I thought this movie was a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. It is the Batman movie that I've been dying to see. Like I said, I do like Christian Bale's performance as Bruce Wayne better in Batman Begins, but overall, this is my favorite on-screen Batman. It really is, to date. I really enjoyed everything about it. I think this film is better than Batman Begins. Not better than The Dark Knight, not better than The Dark Knight Rises, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. And I loved everything that we got in this, from the action, the visuals, the score, the casting, the performances, the world building aspects, the immersiveness. It was spot on. Matt Reeves, you did a great job. Rob, Zoe, Paul Dano, Colin, Andy, and Jeffrey, if you're watching this, you guys did a phenomenal job. But guys, if you're watching this, let me know your thoughts below. What did you guys think of the Batman? Did you guys like it like me? Because I know I fucking did. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I will see you guys real soon.